Well, hello and welcome to the Bellicose Nation. Today, we're going to be talking about revolution. That's right. You know, the one thing you often find in revolutions is that at some point, they start to eat their own. Now, this happened in the French Revolution. This happened in the Russian Revolution. And famously, it happened in the Mao Revolution in China and many others. Actually, our revolution was a little bit unique in that no one jumped and tried to fill the power vacuum. But here we are, a few decades into our cultural revolution, and with victory nearly complete, we see the feeding of their own mentality start to surface a little bit within that group. And I guess you could call this a silver lining of sorts. Now, at Gallup University in Maryland, a rumor got out that the head of the Department of Diversity and Inclusion, Dr. Angela McCaskill, had committed an act of treason. That's right, in that she broke with the monolithic thought on the left. Now, what am I talking about? Well, just a few weeks before the election, it was discovered that she had signed her name to a petition which would allow the voters of the state of Maryland to decide on the question of whether the state should join 30 other some states and define marriage in their constitution. Yep, you heard it right. The head of the Department of Diversity and Inclusion somehow got the idea that she had the freedom to sign a petition to allow the people of her state to vote on an issue. Now, mind you, she did not take a stand on the issue of gays, gay marriage, or polygamy, or anything else. The thing she did, she signed a petition that allowed the people to decide on the matter. And I guess that's just a little bit too much, because her boss, he came to her and he asked her about it. And she said, yes, I signed it. Well, not literally. You see, Dr. McCaskill is deaf. In fact, she's the first deaf black woman to earn a PhD from that university, for those that are keeping score on those things. So I will assume she shook her head yes or whatever. And she was immediately removed from her position, pending the outcome of an investigation. My friends, an investigation for signing a petition. Now, of course, the first question one might ask, and I did too, how did anyone know that her name was even on that petition? Got to be tens of thousands of names on there, right? Well, as we have seen in other cases, there are teams of people poring over these petitions to see if anyone on that petition they can intimidate, primarily through their employment, people in specific positions. Sure, they contact your workplace. A, they put your job at jeopardy. And B, it intimidates anyone else from participating in these types of civic activities. Now, we saw this in California, in the California referendum as well. You know, that this is the level that these people will now, so confident that they have everything in the bag for them, this is the level that they'll go to now to begin to thwart our system of governance and to intimidate people. Think about it. If just 10% of the faculty at this doctor's school, at this university, if just 10% agreed with her, with the notion that voters should have a say on this issue, how many of them would now have the courage to sign such a petition? And why? What does this say about our country where you have to have courage to sign a petition, for God's sakes? Now, this stuff, I'm telling you, is flirting with the tactics used by hardcore communists. How long will it be until these folks require kids to denounce their parents before they're admitted into the university? One thing I don't know is this. Does the average gay citizen endorse this kind of thing? Is it possible some are alarmed at this as well, but just, aren't saying anything? It takes a strong set of principles to override the tendency to quietly go along with those in your group who may be wrong, but they're getting results. So maybe that's why we don't hear any gay groups coming out in defense of these victims of this. Now, here's another angle. While Dr. McCaskill's act of signing a petition is now public for everybody to know about, and what's happened to her, being pushed aside from her job, at least temporarily. And all this is brought out to light. What about the person who did all this snooping? What about the person who filed this complaint against her? This person is unnamed. They get to hide in the shadows. No one knows who this woman is, who this worm is. Now, as for Dr. McCaskill, she is not backing down. In fact, she's gone public. Now, the president of that college made a statement, which is interesting. He said they would like to work something out with her to enable her to return to work. Yeah, right. In other words, if she will simply confess her sin, recant, make atonement for her lapse of commitment to diversity, well, not diversity, but diversity as it's understood on these campuses. So I'm sure if she were to take these steps, the college would then extend mercy and restore her to her former position, graciously offering her absolution. Perhaps use this whole experience to do workshops to reach others flirting with such notions of free thought and government of the people. Now, you know what's a little bit funny to me is cases like Dr. Caskill, who by all accounts worked diligently in her position to further the inclusion of the handicapped, the sexual minorities, and anyone else, but she could not escape the targeting by these folks. And we hear these stories all the time. What is unique about this one is the woman was like 99% down for the struggle. Yet, that wasn't enough. And we can expect to see this trend continue. Trust me. So the next time you hear someone use the lame old argument, how does gay marriage affect you personally? Or why do you care? Or if you don't like gay marriage, don't get one. You think about Mrs. Dr. McCaskill, who struggled so hard to overcome her handicaps and everything else to earn her place in life, only to be bumped aside because she signed a petition. She didn't fit their little strict code. And I'm going to tell you something. This is why I'm convinced, and the evidence bears, that embracing gay marriage or any other type of alternative form of marriage will really be the last nail in the coffin of our culture, because it once and for all drives the voice of opposition from the room. Also, it fundamentally changes the way we organize the foundations of our society, which has always been one man, one woman, making and rearing children. And then finally, it opens up the door for whatever will follow. And trust me, this is not the end of the line. Granted, it's not going to happen in 5 minutes. Any more than me pouring used motor oil in my backyard is going to spoil the water table in 5 minutes. But these actions have a slow, deleterious effect. This is not a guns and bayonet revolution. Rather, it's a long, slow march through the institutions. The institutions of law, art, education, seminary, entertainment, family structure. This is not really so much about gay marriage. It's about using gay marriage as the wedge or perhaps the battering ram. Well, folks, that's all the time we have today. Listen, I'm glad you joined in with me. I hope you will share your opinions. No need to insult or degrade anyone. If you can't make your point without insults and gutter talk, probably your opinion is not worth sharing anyway. So I also invite you to subscribe and be a part of the conversation here on the many topics we cover. Till the next time, this is the Bellicose Nation.